The Southern rebels rallied around Tonrock.
Wow, all 5?
But they are vastly outnumbered.
Duh. By the way, am I the only one who thinks the Southern and Northern Water Tribe have been busy the last 70 years to go from those to those and still have hundreds of citizens to spare to live in Republic City? Hello out there, this is TheAnYPony and welcome to my review of The Legend of Korra, Peacekeepers. Well, this was one great episode. Was it flawless? Okay, first things first. Quick story recap. Korra arrives in Republic City. The group splits up and Varric takes Bolin under his wing. Unalaq sends his children after Korra. Southerners protest peacefully against the occupation of the South Pole. Korra shows her avatar-like neutrality by joining them. The Southern Culture Center gets blown up. Mako is able to get his hands on evidence and to identify one of the attackers as a Triad firebender. Korra does not listen. Varric takes Bolin to a preventing match where the latter gets to show off his crowd control skills. Varric and Korra ask the president for help. He refuses. Korra and Mako have an argument. Varric delivers solutions for everybody's problems. Bolin spills the beans about Varric's shady plan to Mako. Mako spills the beans to the president. By the way, his superiors are either stupid or corrupt. Korra goes to Iroh. Iroh agrees to help, but the president crashes a party and spoils the fun. Korra feels betrayed by Mako. They have another argument and Mako is finally fed up with Korra and breaks up with her. Korra takes a boat to the Fire Nation to ask the Fire Lord for help. During the trip she gets attacked first by the twins and then by a giant spirit who gobbles her up. Side plots worth mentioning. Tenzin teaches Milo how to train animals. Milo is apparently a good pupil if he wants to. A really good pupil. So, before I talk about plot and characters in the usual manner, I want to say something about the editing in this episode. Our main cast keeps growing and growing, and while they often end up grouped together like in the last episode, this time they split up and everybody takes care of his or her own side plots. This leads to rather short scenes back to back, constant switches of locations and acting characters. The funny aspect is, I only realized that on my second watch through when I took notes for my quick story recap. In other words, they did a pretty good job hiding the fact that they are constantly jumping from setting to setting. So, for the actual content, let's start on top, as usual with Korra. Ironically enough, she is still the weakest character in the show. I'm not saying she has not evolved or anything. On the contrary, only 2 episodes ago, her reaction to the fact that 4 Eigen troops take over her home was that.
Uncle, why did you bring your troops down from the north?
Now she sounds a bit more like the person whose legend we are watching according to the title of the show.
The North invaded my home. The only reason I'm here is to get the Republic to send troops to help the South.
But now she goes for the opposite version of not getting it. Previously she was a naive tool falling for her uncle's manipulation. Now she is so blinded by her feeling of betrayal that she openly dismisses her responsibility as Avatar to stay neutral, ignores Mako's evidence and decides to get shady advice from Varric. What, as much as I love him, is not what the freaking Avatar should do. To be fair, she has never been the brightest and most reasonable Avatar to begin with, but she really can do better. And as I already said, she improved a lot since the beginning of the second season, and she is on a good way to reach her former level of maturity and intelligence she presented in season 1. I guess what makes her particularly bad is how much more interesting and better written all the other characters are. Even Unalaq manages to impress me this time. Admitted, not much, and from where he ended up last time it could only go uphill, but nevertheless. He is not going after his brother, but instead focuses on the task that he always claimed would be his mission. It even seems that his fallout with Korra in the last episode was actually just another manipulation attempt gone wrong. Well, that still makes him an idiot for pushing towards escalations, the civil war and the interpersonal one with Korra, which only seems to complicate his plans. But it looks like he is not supposed to be the typical "of course" type of villain without any depth. And who knows? Maybe in the end, every single step he took, including the ones that look like stupid failures, turn out to be part of his epic master plan, either to save or to take over the world, if not even both. But yeah, not too optimistic on that one. Now that we talked about the title character and the main antagonist, let's talk about the actual star of the show, Varric. Even so I don't have a lot to say I haven't already said. He is still amazing, funny and original. His eccentricity paired up with the fact that he actually seems to be rather brilliant and apparently even athletic makes him the most interesting character to follow around. But there is something that worries me a bit. I mentioned in an earlier video that his willingness to enter war came a little bit out of left field for me. Now he throws in that line.
If you can't make money during a war, you just flat out cannot make money.
I enjoy the critical social commentary in that line as much as every other cynical smartass, but what worries me about it is that Varric might turn into an antagonist at some point. So far he is on the side of Team Avatar, but it seems more and more that the current path the team takes goes into the wrong direction. So I suspect them to change course at some point. And I really hope that at that point Varric changes course with them and does not turn against them in order to further profit from the situation. I can totally see it go both ways, because it is hard to tell if Varric has, besides his cynicism and loose moral code, actually a good heart, or if he is a ruthless, manipulative businessman who successfully hides his true greedy intent behind all that charisma. Just as Unalaq still might actually be a good guy hidden behind his creepiness, brutal methods and constant lies. Moving on to Mako. I am glad to see him actually show some competence for a change. Not to mention he seems to be the only character left with an intact moral code. And I also have to congratulate him to doing the right thing in breaking up with Korra. I can't believe he ditched Asami for her. Back then Mako has been the idiot, now Korra is, and Mako has to pay for his former mistakes. Karma! Damn, the Avatar actually does bring balance after all. To all the Korra fans out there who are now angry with Mako, please consider. The way she treated him, he had no chance. Korra was, to put it simple, unfair. When he stayed inactive and supportive, she got angry. When he dared to not instantly support her, she got angry. And to top it all off, she basically demanded from him to put everything, including his oath as a policeman, below her. This is not a healthy relationship. Believe me, I have been there. Another positive surprise has been Milo. In season 1 I did not really like him. He was not really a character, he was just a running joke. If you look back, everything he did, everything he said was just there for laughs. Either he's annoying around Tenzin to boost the latter one's straight man factor, he shouts out random quotes, "Prison break!" and he fart bans. And I didn't like his constant face deformations either. So yeah, probably my least favorite character of season 1. But in this episode, wow! No unnecessary immature jokes, no cartoonish movements. Instead he actually gets his own little story arc about growing up, and he lets Tenzin shine as a wise teacher. And to top it all off, his struggle between just wanting to have fun with his pet and training it was not only relatable, his presentation of a child character in such a situation worked as well. And in the end he could be over the top funny and stressful for Tenzin after all.
I've created a monster.
But without being a pain to watch. On the contrary, he was simply great. So, what are my thoughts on the president? I actually think he is completely in the right not to send the troops and also to stop Korra from recruiting Iroh, as long as he keeps his promise to actually take some diplomatic action. But running guns blazing into a war zone should only be the last resort, and it seems he understands that. Guess Riker would have had a hard time becoming president in the USA. Hi-oh! Interesting side note about Esgar. So far I was under the impression that he was just possessive of bowling like a child with its favorite toy. And I interpreted her freak out at the end of the last episode along that line. But now she is like, "No one steals my bowling!" Sure, this still fits into the spoiled possessive child image, but when I first saw this scene I had the feeling that there was more. Is it possibly she actually got attached to Bolin as a human companion? I would actually like that. And I guess I should mention the thing with Bolin. I like that he actually develops some kind of strength and gets a little bit of positive attention from Varric as well as his fans. I mean, he may be a clumsy idiot, but he is a very likable character, and I am glad that he is not the butt of jokes for once. This whole film business, on the other hand, I'm not really sure if this really is going anywhere, and so far I'm not really interested in it. Well, guess this will be addressed in the next episode, as well as a cliffhanger ending. This is TheAnYPony saying see you soon.